So Mark Miller is at it again. He posted a very nice interview he did with 3 comic book retailers today, and I watched the whole hour stream video, and it was really good. A lot of insight to what's going on, a lot of backing up basically of what Glenn said 2 weeks ago. It's been 2 weeks, I believe. It's been like 2 weeks, and people are still going after Glenn. Cancel Pigs is still trending, still going. That's what's crazy about this. They are not happy about this stuff coming out. And now you've got a bunch of comic book shop owners, one who owns 10 comic shops, pretty much coming out and verifying a lot of the stuff that Glenn said. And that's that things are down. Marvel and DC Comics are down. And when those are down, it hurts the entire industry because indie books that are sold in comic book shops really do depend on the big 2 being good, because those bring people in, and then maybe they'll start buying other books. And you get to the point where people will just start buying independent books and drop a lot of the Marvel and DC. But it takes time for people to get there. They have to get into the hobby. And there was a couple things that I want to go over that Cosmic Book News has actually wrote up here, and that's that we have confirmation Marvel and DC Comics are down, despite the shills saying things have never been better. And that all of these relaunches are hurting their business. Relaunches, what does that mean? In case you don't know the lingo here of what's going on with comics. Really good examples are everybody's favorite, Miles Morales, and Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel. Now, Miles does a little bit better than them. Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel, though, they don't do so well. They're constantly relaunching those books. What does that mean? So Captain Marvel recently hit 50 issues. What happened? Well, because the sales were so low and no one was buying it, they end it on that 50-issue run. They'll call it a historic issue or something, and then they'll reboot that book back into a number 1. So they do that in an attempt to get the sales up because no one was buying it. So you do a number 1 and you add a bunch of covers, a bunch of variant covers by different artists, and people come in and buy them up, and they don't buy 2, 3, or 4. The problem with doing that is you had a bunch of people that were holding on to that book and buying it. They might not come back to that number 1. You just get a temporary boost, and it doesn't last. It actually hurts the comic book store, and that's because people that were reading that book won't come back to it. It's a jumping off point, that 50th issue. So they won't come back for the first one. And a lot of people, when it's an ongoing story, right, issue 75, if they have the previous 74 issues, they'll probably just keep buying it. Because, well, I'm already invested. But when you end it, you lose that investment. It was a really good point. But I want to get to this. So comic book store owner confirms Marvel and DC Comics downturn. This is the guy that owns 10 comic book shops, by the way. So a lot of shills out there that, you know, I think you can group them in with the cancel pigs. They'll say comics have never been doing better. Look at this chart right here that I have pulled up. This is from Cosmic Book News' Twitter feed, but he's quoting this from Seth Jacob. Wait, so comic sales have nearly doubled since 2020? That seems crazy. I guess it's because bookstores are carrying more comics and actually comic shops still made more money as well. What am I missing here? How does this look like comics are dying? Well, a comic book shop owner said the same thing that a lot of us have been saying for a long time. That's because they're mixing shit into that little graph there. It's not just Marvel and DC and indie books. It's manga, and Dogman is another one. Dogman is huge. 5 million print runs for these or something. Like, they're massive books. This is a huge property, this Dogman comic. But that's not Batman. None of these books and its sales translate to more Batman and DC Comics. So he breaks this down. So this is the big lie, that American comics are doing just fine because of these graphs that are being manipulated with stuff like Dogman and Japanese comics. One of the comic book retailers Mark Miller spoke with is Phil Boyle of Coliseum Comics in Florida, who owns 10 comic book shops in addition to a distribution warehouse. Boyle says in addition to manga being included in the comic sales numbers, graphic novels such as Dogman are also included. It depends on what they are putting in on that. This is in reference to that graph. They are including Dogman, which has starting print runs of 5 million, said Boyle, responding to the ICV2 chart. They're including every manga out there. When you look at Marvel and DC periodicals, they're not making up a significant portion of anything right now. Boyle also says his stores sell a lot of manga. We see a lot of it. We sell an awful lot of it, actually, he said. We sell Dogman. We sell everything from Sonic and those type of books. Sailor Moon. We sell a lot of manga. We sell Chainsaw Man, Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, and everything else. We order those. We literally buy them by the hundreds when the next issue comes out. And that's really the big one. He goes on. This is these quotes here are from an article he wrote for ICV2 talking about the reality of stuff that's going on. But I think that this is important stuff. You have an industry here that has been, well, not so much the industry, because that's been around for a long time. A community that is being shrunk down to almost nothing. Some of these stores are going to be fine. Like, I think this Coliseum Comics guy, Phil Boyle, is doing pretty good. He's selling a lot of manga, but that's not every shop, right? You're going to see the comic book shops shrink drastically over the next 2 years. And they're not all going to go out of business. Some will thrive as a collectible store and selling manga and back issues, and they'll be fine. But not everybody, especially with some of the good back issues, and I'm talking silver, bronze, copper, those types of back issues. Those are hard to get now because they're so old. Like, you have to come across that kind of stock, you have to have people bringing in collections constantly and stuff like that. It's not as easy to get those as it is some other stuff. But shops that specialize in stuff like that will probably be okay, but a lot of them are sad because, I mean, they got into the business to sell comics, and they're just not selling anymore. And it's a damn shame. Cancel pigs have utterly destroyed this industry from the bottom up, because they're all bottom feeders. All the bottom feeders manage to grab all the power and keep people that should have the respect of everybody, all of their peers, because of what they've done and what they've accomplished for comics. They're held to task by people at the bottom that can't sell 30 issues of some garbage piece of shit. And it's sad. They let them have all of the power. And, I don't know how you turn it around. It's going to shrink. It's not going to die, but man, is it going to shrink. Big time. And, if you have a local comic shop and that closes, you might end up having to drive like an hour or even longer if you want to go to a shop. That's not going to help either. Anyway, we'll see if the cancel pigs get mad about that, because Mark is not stopping. He is going to keep going, and I'm glad to see it. It's nice to see some creators fight. I wish more would. I saw Rob Liefeld saying some stuff. That was interesting. Now they're starting to turn on him. If you don't know who that is, that's the creator of Deadpool. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about all this. I'd like to hear from you. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell. Check out my Rumble and Locals, and I will see you on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my Locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals.